All right, welcome in everyone to the Deep Dive. We've got a pretty critical situation to unpack today, and I think it's important for everyone to try to wrap their heads around this. We're diving into this whole U.S. military presence, near Iran, and how things seem to be getting, well, kind of tense over there. So we've been going through a lot of reports, like from Mehr News Agency, the IAEA, Pentagon stuff, and what the regional security experts are saying. And I think our main goal here is to help you see past all the headlines and, figure out what this all means. Like, is this really heading towards something big?
Yeah, I think it all starts with getting a handle on the geography of it all, like where are the key players positioned? Where are these forces exactly?
Right, like actually picturing it. So bottom line, we're talking about a pretty sizable force, roughly 50,000 U.S. military personnel. Spread out, but it's something like 10 key bases, all within striking distance of Iran.
Yeah, you have to see it on a map to really get it. So think about this. Al-Udeid Air Base, that's in Qatar, that's the big one. It's actually the largest U.S. facility in the whole region. Then you've got Al-Dhafra Air Base, that's in the UAE, and that one's super important for drones. So that means surveillance, targeted capabilities, all that.
Okay.
And then there's Al-Asad Air Base, that's in Iraq. And I think a lot of people remember that one because it was actually targeted back in 2020. It's really a prime example of just how close these bases are, within reach. And then we have Al-Tanf Garrison, that's in Syria, right near that Iraq-Syria border. Super strategic spot.
Makes sense.
And then finally, you can't forget about Kuwait's Camp Arif, John. Now that one's huge for logistics, keeping everything running, supplied. So when you look at all these spots together, it really paints a picture of this U.S. military network kind of surrounding Iran.
Yeah, it's not just an abstract thing. It's like right there.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that are around. I mean, they see all of this, and they're not exactly quiet about it, they keep putting out these warnings that, they can and will respond to any sort of aggression. And make it very clear they have the firepower.
Yeah, and what really stands out, I think, is the tone. They aren't beating around the bush. They're talking about their missiles. They're talking about their network in the region. It's really serious. There was even this one statement, I remember it clearly, it was a senior IRGC commander, and he basically said, straight up, that the U.S. needs to understand its forces are not safe within their reach. And he said any miscalculation would be met, and I'm quoting here, with decisive action. So, this isn't just talk. This is them saying, we have the ability to back up what we're saying.
Wow. That definitely ups the ante for everyone, right? For anyone following this, it's a tense situation. And honestly, it seems like there are quite a few things pushing these tensions even higher right now. So, what would you say are the major factors in play here? What's really driving this escalation?
Well, if you want to really grasp why it's getting worse, you got to look at a few things. First, the U.S. and Israel. Their military coordination has been increasing. They're doing more joint exercises together, like simulating responses to all sorts of threats. And they're sharing intelligence more closely. So that's a pretty big deal.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Then you've got the IAEA reports. They're saying Iran is enriching uranium to levels that are really close to what you'd need for a weapon. So basically, the clock is ticking if they actually decide to go that route.
Yeah, that's definitely concerning.
And the third piece, well, you can't forget about the ongoing conflicts, like, Iran-backed groups and U.S. forces clashing in Iraq and Syria. Those are constant flashpoints, constant potential for things to get out of control.
Right. So it's this whole mix, isn't it? Military alliances, the nuclear issue, those regional conflicts. It's like all feeding into this big pot of tension. It's really pretty worrying, honestly. So I'm curious, with everything we've been talking about, how are the other big players on the world stage reacting to all of this? What's the global take?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, I think, because you see a real split. Russia and China, they've both spoken out against the U.S. military buildup. They're calling for everyone to calm down, to de-escalate. And then you've got the European nations, they're kind of in the same boat, urging restraint, worried that this could spiral into something much bigger. But on the other side, you have the U.S. defense officials. They're the ones saying, no, this is all defensive. We're here to prevent Iran from doing something aggressive. And that right there, that's classic security dilemma. Basically, one side's trying to protect themselves, but the other side sees it as a threat, and it just creates this really dangerous cycle.
Man, that security dilemma thing, it really, it highlights how risky this all is, And the experts we've looked at, they seem really concerned about the potential for things to go wrong, even if nobody actually wants a war. Like, is there a chance of accidental conflict in this situation?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. You've got all these forces packed in close together, tensions are high, communication's probably not great. It's a recipe for miscalculation. You know, analysts are talking about things like a drone straying off course, or a misunderstanding at sea, or even a covert operation going wrong. And any one of those things could set off a chain reaction, you know, a spark that lights the whole thing up.
So if we're trying to give people the key takeaway here, is that we have a large U.S. force close to Iran. Iran saying they'll fight back, and then all these things making the situation worse. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a very volatile mix. The bottom line for people to understand is just how unstable this whole setup is. You've got the military presence, the rising tension, the tough talk. It all creates this very real risk of someone misinterpreting something and, well, things going very wrong. In the Middle East, that's a huge problem, and it could have a ripple effect way beyond the region.
You know, it really makes you think, like, what are the long-term consequences of all of this? For the region, for global security.
Yeah.
That's definitely something for everyone to ponder. But for now, that's all the time we have. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.